summoned you here for a purpose.
TransformYourGame.net.
Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back to what is sort of the 12th episode of the Transform Your Game podcast. I'm Richard, your host and moderator this evening, but today will be a bit different than most of the episodes we've had before. Rather than my three usual amazing friends and co-hosts, Kent, Kai, and Joel, today I am joined by just one guest, but he's a pretty special guest. A dominant force in the still burgeoning competitive scene for the Transformers TCG, winner of 2019 Origins Open, top 4 of the very first Energon Invitational, winner of the 2019 PPT Columbus Open, winner of the very first PPT Orlando Invitational, and TFTCG YouTube video content extraordinaire on the channel DefTF, the one, the only, Steffon Pinckney. Say hello, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing good. What'd you think of the intro?
Man, that was great. That was great. It seems like I'm a man of firsts though, so I'm like now the next task. Like I went into Origins like saying I was gonna win, like I knew I had the fortitude to win. But now that you say all these first things, that reminds me, it's like, oh yeah, it is like the first of everything. So now my next goal is to see if I can just win another tournament of the same type of stature. So we'll see.
Yeah, man, the bar is set pretty high. You know, basically anything but first is not enough, right?
Right. But I don't want it to be like a first time thing, like, oh, well, he only won because it was the first one, and like as more people come in, it's like it gets more challenging. Can I still, hang up to the test? So we'll see.
Yeah. Now, our discussion here today is motivated by kind of a cool series of events.
Cool.
You, Steffon, started a series called Comp Camp on your YouTube channel, DefTF. The first video was with the godfather of Vector Sigma himself, Scott Landis. And more recently, at least by the time this comes out, you'll have spoken to my friend and teammate Kai Wynn. Now, I know you're making your way through some of the awesome and insightful members of our community, but it left me thinking how sad it was that you couldn't really be on the receiving end of your own style of treatment for the Comp Camp show.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the lookout.
Yeah, man. So I had Kai ask you if you'd give me, and by proxy the crew at Transform Your Game, the privilege of trying to emulate your inimitable style. But before we get into the part where I talk a little less, do you have anything you want to say, info for the people listening, or any important shout-outs?
Shout out to the squad, Vector Sigma. I shout out to Transform Your Game, of course. I definitely respect you guys. You definitely are some of the guys I definitely look out for in the tournament scene. When I hear you guys are coming to an event, gets even more serious and more real when I'm there. So definitely respect you guys and the work you guys do and how you guys play the game. And just be safe out there, in these unfortunate times. But the webcam page is definitely alive and well. So definitely looking to migrate into that, and we can at least get some type of fun incorporated in the game somehow, some way. At least it's something until this whole thing is over.
Absolutely. All right, fantastic. Well, I say we hop right in. I know you got things to do after this.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. All right, well, first question. So what's your background with the card game scene more generally? What was your first game that got you into it all?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is my actual still number one love. I love Transformers. Don't get me wrong. Transformers is one of the I grew up with Beast Wars when it comes to Transformers. So when that expansion comes out and a wave for the TCG, I will be very, very excited. I might just get a whole set of cards just to collect and laminate or something. That's how much I love Beast Wars. So, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Been out, since '03 when it came to the United States, and I've been watching it. Yeah, watching it, from the very first episode with Kaiba and the Blue Eyes and Exodia and all that good stuff, all the way up to about 2014. But so between 2000 and let's say the second half of 2007 on up to about 2014, I played super competitive. My Limelight status in the game was from about maybe 2011 to 2012ish. That's when I really was able to start really getting really good at the game, I guess you could say. And it's always had a competitive sense in that game, like just going to tournaments with thousands of players, going to regionals with hundreds of players and things like that. Like always having something to look forward to. So about like every weekend to play against these people that all were trying to do the same thing I was and make these top 8s and put your name out there and things like that. I had the blessing to be able to play with one of the best players in the game, Cesar Gonzalez, for anybody that's ever played Yu-Gi-Oh! So he taught me a lot, and I was under his wing and was able to step into the next step of the high tier competitive scene. So migrating that to Transformers has definitely helped a lot, I will say. So.
Yeah, I mean, so did I know you said, I guess, like when you were talking to Scott, that your first competitive deck in Transformers was the double primes, pardon me,
Double
the
prime.
twin
Yep.
primes.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Genesis
you
Prime
try
was
to?
my first super rare I pulled. Like I bought a box or two, and like I think I was super blessed with how I pulled. Like I was in the car, I remember talking to my girlfriend about these new cards, and I was like, yeah, you got to play with me when we get home. I think this is gonna be real cool. Blah blah blah. And I'm on the phone, and she's like talking about something else, and I'm like, yeah, uh huh. Yeah, and I pulled Nemesis, and I'm like just staring at it. And I'm like, yo, I got the card. I was so happy. I was like, man. So now I'm about to play that double prime deck I saw on this Vector Sigma page or whatever, and put that together and fell in love with it. And went from there. So.
Were you always intending to like try and play Transformers competitively since you had the experience in Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, no, no. I literally only because of my friend Maurice Douglas. He is the reason why I'm playing this game. Period. I would have found out about this game maybe like a year or two later, and it would just been like oh cool, Transformers has a trading card game, and then that would have been the end of it. I wouldn't have tried to play. But he is very adamant in terms of, hey, why don't you come try this? Why don't you come try that? In terms of new things, and I had nothing to lose. I was like, yeah, sure, I can come over and play, try it out. And of course, it was super easy to learn in terms of the math and who you attack and just counting this and that, flipping orange, flipping blue. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay. And then, like, I was just, like, on top of that, I was just hooked. Like, I was like, this is actually really cool. And I went online, and I think the official Transformers TCG website where Optimus is talking to you while he's showing how the cards, like, how you count up the attack and defense and everything.
Yeah, those videos are sick.
Yeah, with Optimus talking, I was like, yo, that really like put me in. And then I think honestly, everything goes hand in hand because I was just in a really, really good position of how it worked out. So I was looking for the most competitive players in the game because I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't trying to play casual. I'm not trying to have fun. I'm not trying to play fun decks. I want to play the best decks, period, and I want to win. Simple as that. So I was the long story short, the Vector Sigma guys, I didn't realize how close they were to me. I was listening to their podcast, so that helped out while I was at work, all throughout the day. And just so happened that those guys, like, they come to a couple of the guys came to my local scene over in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And from there, I just like clinched on to one of them and then, got the information from there and talked, met all the guys, started going to the tournaments closer to the New Jersey, Philadelphia area. And, just soaked up as much knowledge as I can. I call myself, honestly, the first honorary patron. I really think I'm like it's like in the movies. Like they told me that Kent was the first patron, but this is like in like the movies where they have like a trilogy, and like at the end of the trilogy, you know how they go back to the prequel. I'm in the prequel because like
okay, I feel you.
I was the patron before the patron, so because I barraged Scott with questions all the time. I know he was probably annoyed, but hey, it's the price you got to pay to try to get the things you wanted to get out of the game, and that's where I am today.
I don't know, man. I feel like Scott likes to give information to people. Like
he does, but like I used to just hit him like with just like questions at random times of the day, like all the time, and kind of just like, I mean, he answered my questions, so shout out to him for being cool with it, But I didn't really know Dan yet, so now I like talk to Dan a lot and as well. But yeah, so it all worked out. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, so back to some of the questions I've got. Like, so what is some of the favorite things that you have about the Transformers TCG as opposed to some of the other games you've had experience with, and why?
The way your attack sequences and flipping. Like when I first learned the game, like I was saying, it's very ABC to learn, but it's hard to actually master in terms of conserving cards at certain times. I actually get a headache from playing this game. I never got a headache from playing Yu-Gi-Oh. That's how like serious it is. Like games take so long. Like this isn't a game where unless it's a tournament, this isn't a game where I can just play for hours on end unless it's a tournament coming up. Like when it comes to playtesting, I actually need a break in between because of the thought process that goes into, man, if I attack this guy and I don't flip this, amount of oranges, or the multiple different like angles you can take in a game, and like messing up one specific attack can like potentially lose you the whole game, especially if your opponent capitalizes on it, is like insane. Like so. I love how, because there's some games that are complicated to learn and also complicated to play. This one is very sneaky because, like I said, it's easy to learn, and then all of a sudden, it's actually kind of tough to master. So.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like there's forgive me for fanboying a little bit about like the game design bit. Actually about Mark Rosewater, who's like the main designer of Magic.
Okay.
So he's talked a bunch about game design, and one of the things that like what's interesting about the points you mentioned is that there's this thing that people in game design strive for called strategic complexity.
Yes.
Right. So.
Right.
Right, there's like surface complexity, there's verbal complexity. Those are things that are basically obvious to someone. They look at it and go, "Oh, that looks hard," right?
Understood.
The most satisfying games for the largest like section of like a population, like a community, right, are the ones that are easy to learn, but that you can dive into, and then like your skill will maximize points there.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so it's a depth. You're trying to build depth into the cards in the game, and that's one of the things I really like about the game too. So
Right.
I think it says a lot that both of us really kind of appreciate a similar aspect of the game.
Absolutely. I think one of my other big favorite parts about this game is obviously, just direct damage on a simpler sense. Like something I did not like. I looked at cards like Armed Hovercraft, thought it was trash when I first started. I was like, just 1 damage? That's lame. But like the power of 1 is like so. I feel like I want to like write a book on that. I don't have enough words to make a book yet. But like
You should write an article then.
I mean, well, I guess, yeah. The power of 1, it's so crazy how, like, missing by 1 and them missing you by, like, it's such a feel good when they miss you by 1. It's such a feel bad when you miss them by 1 and you lose the game. Or, like, just that 1 damage from the armed hovercraft. Like, so I think in the simplest sense of teaching a new player the game, yeah, well, let's say they've been playing for a couple of weeks and they're getting the hang of it. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're taking this Wheeljack or you're taking this Optimus with 10 attack and attacking into this measly guy that has 1 health left.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have this armed hovercraft that you could just use and just get rid of it without burning another attack on it. Because this game is simplified down to we can only get 1 attack unless they're tapped out, or you only have 1 action and 1 upgrade. It's slow in that sense, and just showing things like that, like things that were shown to me like that, where I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. Like not just the cards in your hand. Like I value this grenade launcher in my hand. I also value my attacks. Like I feel really bad that I have to take my 13 attack guy into your 1 defense with 1 health guy. So that's why I really love direct damage is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The green icon, yeah, and the green icon I think is so ridiculous too, because in this game you can open with a bad hand, but mold your hand to be a good hand between your draws throughout the game, and then your greens just kind of shape your hand into being a better hand and use those cards, accordingly. So Yu-Gi-Oh's not like that. If you brick, you can just probably just lose, and that's it. In this game, you can actually, like, the game's not over. There's no OTKs. There's no 1-turn kills in this game. So, yet. So,
Good disclaimer.
Yeah. So, I think that's really, really cool that you, like I said, it can't die in 1 turn, and use your greens to help mold your hand, get rid of those, handheld blasters or whatever. And on that note, kind of jumping into the future, I actually like how handheld blaster and improvised shield actually have more relevance in your hand now. So for like example, for Perceptive Sky Shadow, I'm playing a Ghost Shield in there because in your flips, they're probably going to want to give you the bad card and a improvised shield, or excuse me, the card you want in an improvised shield, or whatever the case is. So you might take that improvised shield, and now you can actually, I like that you can use that and or handheld blaster to replace for a Master Sword / Ghost Shield nowadays. I like that you can actually also use them in conjunction, like play improvised shield and set hit and fortificate, or excuse me, play improvised shield and set hit in hostilities, and now your orange deck is like a blue deck for a turn. I also like on the other side you can play handheld blaster and play belligerent, and that's like you actually get more use out of those cards now, so it's not so bad to draw. I mean, of course you got that, it's like a 2-card combo type thing, and that's just the scratching the surface of like things that are really cool about this game. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so speaking of things that are cool about the game, do you have a favorite deck or character that you've played or used so far in the game? Disclaimer: you cannot say Galaxy Prime.
Oh, that's fine, because it's not. That's fine. He's just a big guy with a lot of health. That's fine. I'm probably gonna say Double Prime, honestly, because it was the first deck I was introduced to competitively. That'll probably just be my #1 favorite deck of all time. I'm biased with the Sentinels because my son's middle name is Maximus. So when I saw Optimus Maximus, I'm like, oh, dude, I gotta play this guy because he has my son's freaking name. Like, what?
It's true.
So, I love the Sentinels, and I played that deck very heavily in the Wave 2 format, and had a good bit of success with that deck as well. So, yeah, Double Prime first, and then Sentinels so far.
Awesome. All right. Well, what are your thoughts on Wave 5? How is it looking to impact the upcoming metagame in your opinion? You have general thoughts or anything more specific related to like actual one-off cards and characters?
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of it. I like how it's shaping. I'm a control player at heart, so it's getting more and more difficult to play a blue deck straight up because of the black icon. And it took 3 sets for the black icon to become very relevant, but now that it's here to stay, it's like blue is sincerely getting pushed out. But something I'm going to be talking about very soon in a solo video of mine is about like cards like Belligerence. I'll just give you a sneak peek here. I think cards like I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think cards like Belligerence are healthy for the game. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think it actually. I've heard WTC on multiple different platforms say that they don't like that games are slow, and like you got this blue on blue deck. It's like, okay, I have like 8 attack, but the guy's blocking for 8 or 9, and like there's a lot of turns that is blunted in attacks. I know you can vouch for that with your Jetfire and how your opponent just was not dealing damage.
That was the whole point.
Yeah, well, right. So I'm saying, like, a card like Belligerence just kind of, like, blunts that for a turn, and I can get a chunk of damage on Jetfire and speed the game up, so we're not going into time. I've seen too many games go into time, and I like how this game is implementing cards like that to help, like, just all of a sudden, like, have this burst turn, I guess we can call it, to help prevent time. Same with the black icon. If every attack is getting damage in, it's helping progress the game, and we won't need 60 minutes. We won't need, extra time when, those things happen. Now, granted, yes, there's still going to be some catalysts where your, Perceptors and things like that, your opponent's going to take their time, like, I don't know what to pick, blah, 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 take 2 minutes every Perceptor flip. But, I mean, hopefully that kind of gets ironed out, like I said, with these power cards we have. You can't tiptoe around the power cards forever. You got to have some in a set to make it interesting. Two, to like I said, not have these games drag along so often. And plus, this statement might not have all been the same verbatim if we didn't get in hostilities, but we did. And the wider your opponent's team is the better chances they have of using Belligerence, because you only get to use in hostilities on a Belligerence for
one battle. Yeah.
So if their team if it's just 1-on-1. And it could be like, okay, well, they beat me to the Belligerence thing, but you wouldn't say anything at all if you had your in hostilities and they didn't. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't. I guess it's kind of a you can't have your cake and eat it too thing, because like you'd sit high and mighty with your chest poked out, like, oh yeah, I drew my in hostilities, but then like the one time the guy beat you to his power card before you did, now you're salty. You see what I'm saying? So like, it can't be like that. It's kind of just got to chalk it up, shake it off, and keep it moving, because you can't win them all. Simple. So.
Totally fair. I and I think many of my associates would disagree with you about Belligerence, but also you are entitled to your opinion, man. Absolutely.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And, I'm looking forward to that video essay.
Well, I mean, I just honestly gave a lot of it, but that's really my opinion on that, and it's literally just going to be about just random bullet points of things I think about this wave so far in more depth, like when we talk about like Shockwave, a couple of my babies and stuff that I like to play, and just like random little things I've noticed about this format thus far. So.
Yeah, I mean, some of the points of nuance are some of the most interesting things about this game, because I really do think the character axis of things is just, it's such a puzzle. It's so fun to figure out. It reminds me of that long discussion you and I cannot remember the third party had about what the best partner for the airstrike patrol in Wave 5, where Wave 4 was.
Might have been Kai. I feel like that was at the hotel in Orlando.
It might have been Kai.
Yeah.
But there's also one we had in the Facebook comments of some post.
Uh-huh.
And it was like Megatron was the third one, but that was a really interesting conversation. But we were literally just changing like one character. None of the cards in the battle deck were changing, but it was still interesting. Yeah.
Something else really to touch on, by the way, about Belligerence and in hostilities and all that. It's like we got to be kind of fair as blue players. So keep in mind, I'm not still as much as I say what I say, I'm still not going to be okay with my opponent playing Belligerence and I don't have the answer set, or at least a sabotage or something. Keep that in mind. But it's like we had our fun. We had hidden fortifications. We were one thing with these ridiculous attacks. Orange needs to have some fun too, type thing. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Anyway. I agree. I think that Orange had Wave 3 mostly, with the exception of maybe like a couple.
It's a toggle. It feels like a toggle. So that means Wave 6 blue is back, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, man. That's what I'm hoping. Wave 6 will come back.
Yes, sir.
I
am looking forward to like a heal icon or like a reverse pierce icon. So like a purple icon. Like a purple icon, so like for every purple icon you reduce their pierce by 1. So if I have an orange purple, or a blue purple rather, it would just reduce your pierce by 1 for each. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that would be cool. But,
I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. So like, what's actually interesting for me was like we've kind of seen a couple of decks within the webcam games or people posting content, but like, where's your head at for trying to brew right now? Like, what type of characters? Are there any like specific battle cards you want to make work? Like, Well, yeah.
I'm having a tough time, pun intended, not really, but it just now. I'm having a tough time taking out the tough cards out of my deck, but it's necessary. It's like play more static numbers, play your Ghost Shield, play your sturdy armor, your rock paper scissors, the covert, sturdy, and reflex circuits. Play your composite armor is going to be even better. All those cards that give static defensive numbers, but like at a point, it's like so you have your static defense plus your blue flips. Is that going to be enough from their grenade / whatever attack? And the answer might be yes, because if their deck is skewed to like orange black, they're not going for like a super high score. They're going for like guaranteed damage. So that's a part I still have to like discover with this format. Obviously, just I've only been playing against a select few amount of decks. But a Sky Shadow really stood out to me because he is so similar to Superion in terms. Not okay, I don't want to say so similar, but I mean he is a combiner in that similarity. He deals 3 damage to at least half, or I guess a third of the factions. But he just reminds me of Superion in terms of how impactful he was as a character. And then on top of that, you don't have to use an Enigma. You just combine when one guy dies. Now, so him and then like just finding characters for him. So it's like 15 stars for this set of characters and this team. And then you have your 10-star guy, so it's like, okay, well, Perceptor's 8. So that was like one of my, I think, first decks I thought of. And I know it's a deck you were playing as well. So we were
Me
on
too.
the same team, but you were playing the blue version. But my idea was to like go orange because it's like, well, damn, all these orange. Like, I think the main thing is because the orange-black cards are better than the blue-black cards. If we had a lot of good blue-black cards, I would have went blue too with you. But because we have so many orange-black cards, that was my first avenue. But I do want to build a blue-black version still. I do like the Heal Optimist. I think Heal Optimist is going to have some merit. At first, I did first look at it and was like, sure. I looked at the rarity first, and I unfortunately I based it off of his strength off of the rarity. I'm like, oh, he's just uncommon, but Wheeljack's also uncommon, and we know what Wheeljack does.
True.
So, but I think he's going to have an annoyance to your opponent. I can just see these situations where he's just healing for so much that the amount of damage you do doesn't do as much. So I'm excited for him to actually still be in the format somehow, some way. It's like every format Optimus just like molds himself and adapts to whatever's happening, which I love.
True.
And on that note, I still think Galaxy is still going to be very good because of how big he is and how the deck works.
Yeah, totally fair. I think it's funny you mentioned the Heal Optimist because if the pendulum does swing back in favor of defensive shells in the next wave, I think Heal Optimist might be one of the cards we need to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
I think he really could be.
Especially with teammates too, because like teammates, like it's hard for me to want to play 2 or more Autobots in a deck. Like, so I have a Blaster orange-black deck I want to play, but I will like get eaten alive by magnetic dysfunction rate.
I know.
But at the same time, you might get. How many times in testing have you got Mag Dre in one game? Because it's like it may not be that bad if they only do it once, but if they get like 2 or 3 have a strong engine where they can receive probably 2 per game, that's probably too much.
Yeah. If 1 is almost too much. Like if they have horrible and they use Mag Ray, it's too much. Like that's almost always game.
Right.
If they don't have horrible and they only draw 1, I've won some games where that happened, where my all Autobot team has gotten absolutely thrashed by a Mag Ray. But it's rare. It's very rare that I've beaten the card. So,
right.
At least it's never a green pip like Press did.
Yeah. No, you're right. At the same time, though, I think Autobots would deserve it because of press the advantage and the habit that card week. But like orange, black, green, like wedge formation, that would just be ridiculous. So let's not go there. But
agreed.
But or even just orange, green, like the press was. But I do like Horrible, especially speaking of him. He is the reason why. Like I looked at Hollow Man Projector and I was like, okay, that card is cool. But then I faced the Horrible deck and I got eaten alive. It was ridiculous how much damage my guy that wasn't even attacking yet was taking. I was like, okay, I'm thinking Hollow Man Projector is the next green card to like potentially main deck at least one of like Pocket Processor, like
or Reprocess,
Yeah, and Reprocess is actually seeing its way into my side deck right now. I don't know if I really want it in my main. So and I don't know how many solo greens I want in my deck. So it's like, is it going to be Pocket Hollow now, or is it going to be a Soul Hollow? Those type of things. So Horrible's obviously really strong. Fangry is like he's pretty cool, but I mean, well, I think Fangry I guess has to be included in that because him and Horrible make up the only 4-wide Titan Master decks. We don't have any Autobots that are well, I guess you could potentially do it with one of the 8 Autobots or maybe a Cup, but Cup is not that impactful like Horrible and Fangry. So I do like Cup though, but he just came at the wrong time. I feel like just because of how much Pierce is out there. Like I said, I'm trying to get away from Tough. But
Yeah.
we still do have tools as a control deck. We have stable cover. But we have to draw that card though. Every time they attack, they just get the damage. So that's the issue.
Yeah.
Point defense system, another card you got to draw. So
Why doesn't that card give you a defense?
I know, right?
God, that's so frustrating.
Yeah. Or it should reduce more. I feel like reducing by Pierce 2 isn't enough. Now I have to see what these cards can do and like how much Pierce Demolisher and everything. But again, we do have tools, so it's just about adapting. Like Hidden Fortification to seeing its way out of my main deck and potentially like a 1-up in my main and some of my decks and 1 in my side. And I don't even know if the 1 in my side is going to be good enough because it's like probably I want to catch like the 1 or 2 guys in a Swiss round that are still playing mono orange. So they're like, okay, heavy fortification is good there. But if everybody's playing orange-black, it's a waste of a side deck slot. So it's going to take like going into a tournament to see where everybody else's head is at to change my side deck accordingly.
It can also be good against like some of the other like blue on blue hidden fortifications is actually still kind of good.
Right. So I'm thinking like maybe we can migrate if we're going like heavy black / whatever type decks like concealing contrails can just kind of be the out to all of that because you just get defense, you're not getting belligerence is not turning that from anything. But yeah, that's kind of where my head is at right now. Like I said, with control decks, we have stable cover, we have end hostilities. End hostilities blunts a lot of attacks and makes them no more than the bigger they are for their turn, type thing. Especially like against Fangry. So Fangry would have bold 5, against whatever, and then use end hostilities, and the most they can probably do is like 4 Pierce 4 now, which isn't as bad as what it would have been, 11 Pierce 8 or some crap. So, So.
Yeah, man. Actually, that kind of brings to mind another question. So, like, how would you describe your approach to deck building? I know that you've played, or occasionally played, some interesting battle decks, maybe some with a little bit extra cards, maybe some with more mixed pips than is, like, kind of conventional. And I'm sure I can't be the only person that wonders how you kind of arrive at those.
Honestly, I'm a big fan. My play style, I sincerely think there's play styles in this game. It feels weird. Like, I have a 4-wide orange-black deck that still feels weird to play because I'm not used to 4 smaller characters. I like the big guy, medium, small guy approach. Ever since the double prime deck migrated to the 3-wide version with the 7-star Optimus and Flame War to help combat the Insecticons, I've kind of adapted that in almost every deck I played out. Yes, I like the Sentinels a lot. That was like a big guy and 2 medium guys type thing. But I think honestly, I just take my deck building from past knowledge based off of that. So, like I said, big, medium, small, or what's another example? I don't know. I think I just take like a team of characters which like has synergies, like the Sky Shadow pieces. I feel like those were easier to do because like again, you have 15 stars. So like, okay, what 10-star characters are good? It's like, well, I'm not trying to play. You can play like there's so many different options, but I wanted to definitely play another Titan Master. I saw Perceptor. I knew like looking at Perceptor. First things first, Perceptor is very flip intensive. So I need to put in with characters that don't need to flip. Oh snap, Sky Shadows don't need to flip. How many stars of a head can I put on Perceptor? At least 2. Or maybe you can I was thinking about doing Kreb and a star card, a Mount of Missiles to get 7 double oranges. That's a potential option or whatever. But yeah, so I really think that's how it starts. And then when I actually start deck building, I don't like how I answer this question. Shout out to Blues on Attack when they had viewer questions and they asked me but pretty much the same question, and I don't like my answer to that. I'm actually gonna do a new series whenever I get to it. I don't know when yet, but it's gonna be called Ground Up, the Ground Up series.
Okay.
And literally how I build a deck. So like from start to finish, and I think the easiest way to build a deck right now because there's only 5 waves, and I guess until we get set rotation, start at wave 1. Question 1, are you playing an orange deck? Are you playing a blue deck? If you're playing a blue deck, first things first, 3 handheld blaster, 3 security checkpoints. Easy.
So much has changed.
Yeah, it's like, if you're playing an orange deck, improvise shields and peace to tyrannies. And then with a blue deck, it's probably like 3 handheld, 3 security checkpoint, 2 Energon Axe, like usually are a staple. I'm probably playing range characters because I gravitate towards those, so I'm probably just going to throw 3 arm hovercraft in there. And then, like, I'll probably stop there, and then I'll go to wave 2. And then it's like, okay, I'm playing a blue deck. What's good in wave 2 that I would play in a blue deck? Marksmanship. That'd be a 1 or 2 of. Like, so I'll just go through every wave, and the cards that make sense, I'll compile them all in the deck. And I'll be at, like, 52 cards. And then I'll start kind of shading cards here and there. You know what I mean? I try to keep I don't know how much the math matters as far as you skew your deck from actions and upgrades, but like if I have like 21 actions and 19 upgrades, I'm happy. And that's kind of where I start. I'm not going to say that's what's supposed to happen or that's like the math and that's how I build a perfect deck or anything. That's just how I do it in the beginning. If I start getting too many upgrades, the one way I don't like doing those is having way too many upgrades. So if I have like 23 upgrades and 17 actions, I'm not a big fan of that. So I do try to even it out as much as possible. But yeah, that's really just taking, like, when it comes to mixed decks, I honestly migrate a lot back to the Vector Sigma mixed deck from that Scott top 4 with at Gen Con, the mixed range and Optimist.
I remember it, yeah.
Yeah, it was Fire Drive and Barrage. So I kind of like go back to that because I thought that was really cool how they were articulating that. So I kind of migrate back to that when I try to build a mixed deck and, just kind of throw cards together and take the ones out. Well, another thing that's really cool about this game, by the way, is when you play a game and I guess maybe this is the same for every game, but maybe not. I'm able to be honest with myself about if a card sucks or not in my deck. Like,
yeah, me too. Oh, you're so right.
What's that?
You're so right. You're so right.
It's so easy to see how well a card works or how well a card or how bad a card is for your deck. Like sometimes I'll just actually draw it in my hand and like I think turns ahead. So I'm like, this card is straight trash. I cannot wait to take this card out. So that's one thing I really like about this game as well. You can just really sincerely feel the synergies between cards. And then the last thing you have to do when you're playing a card or playing a deck is ask yourself, is this card really doing you anything? Like, is it really good for your deck? That's the last thing that's probably the hardest challenge, is to be honest with yourself about things. And I have an issue with playing 40 cards because sometimes I'm very indecisive on the last couple of cards. And that's why my Orlando deck was 41. I just could not figure out, like, I'm looking at all 41 cards on the table, and like I just could not come to a decision. That's probably where I should have called Dan or Scott or somebody and be like, hey, what do you think I should cut? But then sometimes our opinions don't mix well sometimes, and that's okay. Like that conflict is okay because that helps build to, the best version of a deck or whatever. But I was just sold on all 41 cards. So I was like, the percentage, and with math, the math obviously is better with 40 cards, but the percentage is not that much farther off with 41. And the way this game works, I get that you want to give yourself the best percentage chance of drawing a card, but when I end up deciding to play a 41 or 42 card deck, the percentage does not matter that much. It's going to matter over the course of 100 games, mathematically. Like, it's going to cost me a game on game 97. It might cost me a game because, like, the armed hovercraft I wanted to draw was the next card, but I drew this card for my turn instead of, you know what I mean, type thing, just because you have that one extra card in your deck. And that's how I think about the game. And like I said, the percentage isn't that bad, and so that's why I do what I do. And overall, in the end, this game still has the alma mater of play skill is everything, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah, man. All right, so what would you say have been some of the keys to your success at these larger tournaments? I mean, your intro, I read off all of your accomplishments, at least as far as the game goes. But what do you think has been some of the contributing factors to that?
Playtesting. My girlfriend saying me. She's funny. I'm not gonna lie. You know what? She did help a lot because I could not stand Insecticons, and we did play a lot of games. Like while she was pregnant, we actually sat at the table and played a lot of games of Double Prime versus Insecticons. And I got that matchup down and like knew when I was gonna lose and would scoop early because I knew when I was gonna lose. So shout out to my girlfriend. She helped out a lot with that. But I'm really gonna say, just my past experience in card games. The information that I got, I think I learned the reasons why this card and that card type thing is better from Vector Sigma, and then just in terms of just playing in turn sequences, I just learned because I don't know how I really want to say it. I think it's just something that just grows on you with continuously playing the game. To be honest with you, just and seriously understanding why certain moves are bad, identifying when you misplay, why it was a misplay. If you just make a play and it's like, oh, well, I won anyway, didn't I? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be like that. You want to identify, like, okay, that was a misplay. I got lucky, but next time in a situation, I might not be so lucky, and I need to make sure I analyze that and, make sure I don't mess up the next time.
Yeah, man. I actually on that point. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
On that point, one of the things I've actually noticed in my conversations with you, particularly about matches and games, I feel like you've openly admitted when you got lucky, and you haven't been salty when you got unlucky.
Yes, I try to keep a straight face and just realize I can't win them all, and it's all good. That's something that was something I've kind of learned through Yu-Gi-Oh, and just shake your opponent's hand and just keep it moving. It's all good in the end, type thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very admirable quality. I've in all my communities of different card games I've played all the time, or like over time, there's a lot of people who don't act that way.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So it's nice to see it from someone who also has a high level of skill.
Right. I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely plan on teaching my son the ways of being a real man, because that's just things that you do, So.
Amen to that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, the last question I have for you is whether you have any questions for me or anything I missed that you really wanted to mention or hit on before we close things out.
What decks have you guys been successful with and have liked and gravitated towards and changed since playing? Because I know you guys play with proxies a lot as well. So what has caught you guys' eye?
I mean, I basically want to play. So almost every deck that we've built has involved Sky Shadow, Perceptor, or Horrible.
Yeah, that's kind of is with me. Like, I just gravitate towards like the kind of good cards and go from there. So yeah, I'm with that. You guys play with Braun at all? Y'all like Braun at all, or?
I like Braun. I've actually been playing Braun in more decks recently.
Okay.
I think one of the things about Braun, just the fact that he's not flip intensive and is an offensively powerful 5-star,
right.
Is kind of a unique thing in the game, right?
Right.
Having 2 base defense, I think, is actually really good on him too.
Yes.
I do wish he was ranged. It kills me that he isn't ranged.
Yeah. At least, but I mean, most trucks are melee in that mode, so I guess like if you would ever flip him to bot mode, I wish he was ranged there. But I guess like he still does feel like a melee character, so I guess I get it. But I do like that they're trying to branch out a little bit and give the other characters time to shine. Like specialists, I still think are behind. Mm-hmm. So like melee, I mean range is still number 1, but I do like that they're trying to give melee some more love. So I like that cards like Reflex Circus will be more valuable. I'm hoping that specialists and even cards like what's that intelligence mission where you tap a specialist and draw 3.
Oh yeah.
Like cards like that where you tap a character have more value than like, so instead of the tap icon on them where like you use the tap and then use their effect, I'm hoping we get a character like if this card is tapped by a card effect, use this effect. I think, or something like just something in general, like so use intelligence mission to tap your specialist, draw 3, and then use its special ability as well. So I'm hoping like the synergy between the battle cards get some type of thing with the characters eventually. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. And I agree with you. I like that they're kind of showing the other combat tribes a little more love in this set.
Right.
There's a lot of good melee characters in this set. There's just
Yes, sir.
One of the other things that I've mentioned about lineups is we found that the health heads are the best heads.
And they're all Decepticon, yeah.
And they're all Decepticons, which is hilarious. But like in our testing, like the health heads have just been the best heads. Like
I can't really see myself trying to play like the +1 head or the +1 attack head or defense head. The only other one I think that really makes the cut as an Autobot is
Parsec.
Parsec.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it. Mm-hmm.
Flintlock was the man until they kept continuously releasing all, because we saw Flintlock, super early in the release of the spoilers, and then they kept releasing more and more good black cards. We're like, okay, so Tough is just out. So I don't even know where I want to put what's the other one, Clobber, because it's like he's so many stars and like you make your guy so big and he's like kind of your centerpiece. And but you actually don't. But at the same time, you don't care if he dies because Clobber is also,
Clobber's a real offensive threat. You're totally right. Like when he pops off, like 2 Bolt 3 there's no joke. That's basically Lionizer.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think about, like, him and, Brainstorm's 9-star, so you can't even, because that makes 13. Because I'm thinking about, like, ASP or, like, other 4-wide decks that play, like, a couple 5s and 4s. But then I also think about Tripwire, so then that's just out the window.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tripwire. That card is definitely going to change dynamics, too. It's actually going to make you, like, I feel like Night Racer is the new target on my back type character, because I had a situation the other day where I was playing Shockwave, and the normal play is to flip Shockwave, attack with sights. And I got tripwire the next turn. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So now I actually need to send out Night Racer first for the potential tripwire to take over my Night Racer. Now, granted, they can probably get tripwire the Night Racer on the wheel turn, but I definitely don't need to have it on the first turn, especially like against against the heavier orange deck, but it teched tripwire, and so that card can just be anywhere and ruin your day. So
yeah, best zap ever, not close.
Yes. Yep. Power creep for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I don't want to keep you for too long, so I think we'll call the interview there.
Okay.
And
thanks for having me, man.
Pardon me?
I said thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. And I'll just give us a quick outro and then let you go.
Cool.
All right. Well, that ought to do it for episode 12 of the Transform Your Game podcast. Big thank you to you, Steffon. Many thanks to my normal co-hosts for letting me commandeer their airtime this week. And as always, much appreciation for all of you listening out there. We'll be back to a more usual format in next week's episode, but I hope you enjoyed listening to this as much as I enjoyed conducting it. If you found the input and information here valuable, you can find more strategy, analysis, tournament reports, and more like it at transformyourgame.net. We look forward to being back to speak to all y'all next week. But until that time, clear eyes, flip bots, can't lose.